Welcome to the EST Hangout.
This is the EST Hangout, and today's guests are...
A very good Wednesday morning to you. Welcome to the EST Hangout presented by Sentinel Storage live right here on Edmonton Sports Talk, your clear choice for Edmonton sports. Thank you to everyone for listening across the Edmonton Sports Talk audio streams at edmontonsportstalk.com. Tune in, iHeartRadio, Apple Music for those watching on YouTube and listening on podcasts wherever you get your podcasts. We appreciate you as well. Edmonton Sports Talk presented by Play Alberta. Tom Gazzola, Iwanyk with you here. Shawn Belle with us because it's a Wednesday and joining us, broadcasting legend. Mark Connolly, who's got the shirt that I love, the Mark Connolly shirt, because I'm seeing hosting, toasting, and roasting.
Yeah.
I love that.
My whole new deal. Came up with that on a dog walk with my wife Alice actually one day. We were just walking. I said, how am I gonna promote myself after I leave the CBC and do my thing? And I said, I'm gonna be hosting, so a little bit of toasting and some light roasting. All my whole plan.
You're good at that.
I like it. I hope so.
Yeah, thanks. Very smooth.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing yourself down a level to join us here at Edmonton Sports Talk. We greatly appreciate it.
Well, one thing I was confused, why is it on Eastern Standard Time, the Hangout? It was like, well, okay, that's interesting. But then I figured it out. I'm just kidding.
I see what you did there.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll see how many. Who does that one take a while to get to?
Can you put in hilarious?
I want to know the
too?
Venn diagram between this Hangout and the CBC morning show. We'll see where we go. But I'm always surprised, to be honest, when people come and talk to me about, because since I retired, a lot of people will chat with me about, not hearing me on the radio anymore or whatever. And I'm always surprised by who listens and who might be really interested in the show and that sort of thing. And people have asked me, so what do you think? Are you going to do any more sports stuff? And they bring up Edmonton Sports Talk. And so it's cool. Yeah.
No, well, here you
Glad
are.
to be here.
Long time coming, because you came and visited us at our old location.
Yeah, before I even retired.
Yeah, we're like, hey, we got to get Mark in somehow.
Yeah, it's great.
Well, here we are, finally. Yeah.
Well, because you're hosting a Bids for Kids event for kids sport.
Right.
And then we ran into you there, and that was a fun night out at the Bell at Scona.
Well, the thing about that is I was on the board of Kids Sport for many, many years. And so I've done a lot of emceeing for them, obviously for charity for free and that sort of thing, and done a lot of planning and different things. And we'd done the Bids for Kids over the years as a fundraiser and silent auction. And we were always trying to think, what can we do different? And I said, well, why don't we talk to Dustin about coming, because Edmonton Sports Talk had just begun, and about doing like a live on remote. Would he be interested? And Dustin said he would be. And I said, it'd be a great part of it's a sports event. It'd be a great part of the live auction and all that stuff. And I think it's been great. It's been really, really well received.
It's been a fun couple of years that we've did it, and hopefully we can do it again coming up this upcoming year. Because it was a lot of fun. Great food, great roundtable this past year. It was Trey and Terrell. They were fantastic up on stage with Dusty and Reed.
They were.
So very, very fun time. And now I guess it kind of broke on the morning show.
Oh yeah,
you're doing some stuff with Mr. Ryan Rashog. Yeah,
when I was retiring, actually Ryan and I were at a retirement for another friend of ours, Paul Graham, who was basically the head of live sports at TSN for many years. But Paul and I went to Nate together back in the late 70s. And so we, Ryan and I were sitting together, Ryan Rashog and I were sitting together at the retirement. And he says, what about you? What are you doing? And I said, well, nothing's been announced yet, but I'm probably this summer. And he said, well, if you want to do any podcasts or anything like that, come talk to me first. I said, all right. So after I announced my retirement, I said, Ryan, calling you. I would mind doing something. He says, what do you want to do? I said, well, I don't know. Here's what I don't want to do. I don't want a job. I don't want to do something every day. I don't want to do even something every week, probably. Maybe a couple times a month or monthly, or maybe I fill in on some things. I said, last 12 years hosting the morning show, I've been doing interviews. So I think I'm a pretty good interviewer. I could do maybe long form interviews. And he right away came up and said, well, what if you did Oiler alumni interviews and we drop it in the Got Your Back podcast? We're not starting a new podcast. It's going to be part of my podcast, Got Your Back, and we'll drop it in. You come and do it and go from that. And I said, I love it. That's great. I
May I
said I know a
interject?
lot of these guys too.
Sounds like a guy that doesn't want to do the full hour and a half.
How long are we here? Sorry, what?
I'm just kidding. Shaggy, just to make it clear, Shaggy doesn't want to do the whole show. He's making Mark do some of it.
So that's what we're doing, and we're just sort of getting it rolling now. And he said to me, "You need to find sponsors," which I did. And it's funny because I know, obviously I've been in Edmonton all my life, and I know lots of people. And so I lined up people I know. I've been associated with the running room for a long time. John Stanton's a good friend of mine. The running room came on board. Grant Fedoric at Leading Edge Physiotherapy came on board as a sponsor. And then I leaned on my brother, who owns Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, to be a sponsor as well.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
So, and then Dennis Nolan, who does Bar N Investments. And Dennis is a great philanthropist in the city. And I just met him, and we were at an event, the Glenn Anderson Day of Golf. So I was telling him that, I'm trying to do this alumni thing, and the alumni very much involved in that event. And he said, well, I'll go on board to help you get it launched. So he just threw in some money to help me launch it. And I was like, okay, Dennis, thanks so much. It's so awesome. So
Awesome.
That is
it's been
awesome.
good. So we're coming up pretty quick here to be maybe doing our first. And I don't want to
No,
scoop
it's
the
stay
announcement.
tuned,
Yeah,
basically.
stay tuned. Yeah.
Well,
I'm
that's-
looking forward to that.
That is awesome to hear.
Yeah.
No, good for you. Belsy, how you doing, by the way? We've just been focused on Mark there for the first beginning. How are
that's
you?
Fully understandable. I would be focusing on Mark too. No, I'm fine. I'm just getting over it. I'm on the tail end of a sickness.
Oh, great. You're not going to give it all.
I think is
I won't. Don't
I
you worry.
promise.
is the sickness celebrating the Dolphins beating the Bills on Sunday?
That was not part of my sickness. I didn't even have one drink after that.
Wow.
I know. That's how bad it
You've been
was.
sick this whole time. You didn't even tell me.
I haven't seen you.
You were at my place doing the pre and post game show the
I
one
wasn't
day.
sick then.
Okay, thank God. I feel
It's
fine.
interesting. The last television piece or video piece, because they don't do it all for television now, it's all on it, was with you that I did.
Oh, yeah?
over
Yeah,
at
that's right. That's
Silent
how
Ice.
nice. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I really
You and,
enjoyed doing that,
Pete.
learning about it. Yeah.
Yep.
Pete Evans. Yeah, he was our cameraman.
Yeah. No, that was a good one.
Yeah, the last night I did it for CBC.
Pete's a good dude.
And they're,
Yes,
I think
right.
they're going to be adding. Well, I'm hearing rumors of them adding on to that place, and I'm like, well, it's pretty nice already.
Yeah.
So if they're going to add another rink, it's going to make it even better. So,
Are
Wasn't
you
that the plan?
still involved over there?
yep, I'm still there every day,
coaching.
coaching Pete's kid now. So,
Right.
yeah, it's been good.
Yeah.
It's been really good.
Cool.
But didn't you say that was the plan? Like there's gas
There's a
station
massive
this and
plan,
that.
like
Right.
to start
Hotel.
the whole thing. There was like a hotel and all that kind of stuff, but
Well,
you know, things change.
Millennium Place in Sherwood Park, right, which has a lot of, they do a lot of tournaments there and that sort of thing.
Yep.
There are hotels right next to it, and that facilitates that sort of thing. So if you want to do tournaments and things like that, it's probably necessary and probably a great part of your building. The only thing is, if you're not going right to that arena, I'm not sure if you would stay in that hotel.
Yeah, there's not much
otherwise.
around there, right? So
Yeah.
I think that makes it hard.
Yeah.
So if
And
you're,
Beaumont does not have hotels. We've learned that recently.
Oh, that's
It
right.
doesn't?
Beaumont does not have a hotel. The Morning Boys about a year ago discovered Beaumont does not have
Really?
a single hotel.
Why were they going to go out there and do something?
I don't know how they I forgot how they came up with it, but they discovered that Beaumont does not have a hotel. People have to go to Leduc or Nisku or something like that, or
must have
South
some
Edmonton or something.
Airbnbs.
But there is
think so.
no hotels
Yeah.
in the city or town of Beaumont.
It's a great little town. We did when I was doing the morning show, we did an on location there. We did our show there. It's a sweet little spot. Like it's really, really got a lot of history and that sort of thing. The people are great. I used to be out there all the time when my boys played lacrosse. It's a big lacrosse town as well. Yeah.
Beaumont, come on in, but just for a while.
Yeah.
Thing
Yeah.
leave.
We
Just
want
not
you to
allowed.
leave.
we want you to
Yeah.
show
allowed
up,
to stay.
but I want you out too.
You need to leave by
You can
9.
stay in Leduc.
That's
Full
right.
curfews. They're roaming around town 11 o'clock. You from here? No, then you got to leave town.
You got to
Yeah.
get
Go.
out.
Oh,
Where's your bag?
Go on,
Yeah.
get.
yeah. That's hilarious.
What were you gonna say?
No, I was just gonna say I'm looking at the nasty chat, and some people are saying the sickness explains what happened on pre and post.
What happened on pre and
I don't
post?
Yeah,
think
what
anything
happened
happened
on
on
pre
pre
and
and post.
Yeah.
I mean,
Which
I
pre and
just-
post?
I was just being my natural self and just chirping a few people.
Oh,
talking
were you?
about-
I did a PSA.
Oh, yeah, that was
Was
good.
this, so when was it? What are we talking? Which pre and post?
This
are we
would have
talking
been
about?
what?
Monday?
Monday.
So we're talking about
pre-post?
the last one.
Yeah.
What was your PSA?
Well, people are upset at Skinner again,
Yeah.
and I was like, well, if you're, are you upset at your goaltender? Do they give you a heartache? And I just did a little quick PSA, and I people were like, "Oh my God, what's wrong with you?" May have chirped a person or two. I don't know.
That's fair.
Yeah, a lot of heat right now, but
There's a lot of heat.
Oilers got the victory.
Yeah.
That was the flukiest win. I mean, that goal.
That goal was.
That might have been the flukiest goal, one of the flukiest goals I've ever seen. The deflection was just like, it was like the Zapruder film. How does that magic bullet go in?
Yeah.
Back and to the left.
Yeah, exactly.
It was like one of those bending
and to the
bullets,
left.
right? You
Yeah.
shoot it and then it just hooks left and goes right in. It was perfect.
That young goaltender,
Jack Greaves.
Yeah. He played, he didn't get a lot of shots because the Oilers don't like to shoot, but
Touché.
he played well, and I don't know, I felt bad for him.
Yeah.
Except that he's on the other team. So
Yeah.
of course, but-
He's a smaller goalie too. He's only listed at 6 feet tall, so
Right.
he's pretty
That is small
nimble.
now, hey?
Yeah, that's kind of like the Dustin Wolf mold. But I guess he's a little bit older than Wolf because Wolf, maybe a year or two. But yeah, I mean that was we post game was interesting the other night, wasn't it?
It was.
Why were people still spicy or
Oh yeah,
didn't feel
They,
like
they were
Yeah.
they were spicy, happy they won, still going after certain people. So it was like it wasn't like a traditional when you win, everybody's kind of happy.
yeah.
There were still salty feelings from the Saturday game.
and they didn't
Rightfully
play
so, but-
particularly good on Monday
Yeah.
either. Like,
no.
sorry, they
So it
almost
was a bit
lost.
of a roller coaster,
Yeah.
which made it fun and interesting. But
There was an interesting text. I'm curious to hear what you think, Mark, about this because, I mean, you've covered this team for, 35, 40 years, right? Like,
Yeah.
I remember seeing when Gretzky came back the first time, you getting ready for the press conference. And that,
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's video of it on YouTube. It's amazing. I watched Hartford versus Edmonton 1984, earlier in the week. Anyway, now, I talked with this texter a little bit afterwards, and the text was, "It's up to you guys, the media, to wake these guys up. It's on you to do this, on you that." And I was like, maybe I misread I didn't catch the sarcasm or whatever, but it was one of those nights where people were salty, like Belsey alluded to, and so maybe that's why I missed the tone. I wasn't bang on about the tone of that text being a bit sarcastic. However, there were also similar texts leading up to that one that night, in games prior and weeks prior, where it's like, well, what are you guys doing to hold them accountable? and I basically said, I'm like, if you think you're a media guy and you should be affecting how the team is performing, you're overstepping your boundaries. And if the expectation from some people in the fan base is for the media people to inflict change on the team, like that's just wrong. And I kind of popped off a little bit on that, but I'm just curious.
I would back you up on that. I think that, the media, the whole atmosphere of the media and the way it's constructed now has changed so much, right? There's a lot of difference, say, when Shawn played, how the interaction would have been and what the role was in some ways. And also, I think the effect that the media can have on the whole milieu out there, what's going on. So I think that now the players and the teams are more insulated from what I would call, say, the mainstream media, and you guys would even be included in that, as opposed to what's going on in social media, which can be vicious and unaccountable and sort of whatever people want to do, which is fine. They can do what they want. So, but having someone to make change or suggest change is like Speck wrote about, hey, it's time for basically Skinner to go, right? In his article. That's not going to change what the Oilers decide to do. Oh, we've lost Speck. Let's
right.
You know what I mean?
Oh, that's a great idea from Speck. Maybe we should look at this.
Exactly.
How did we not think of this?
Yeah, I wonder if there's
Thank
any
you, Matthew.
goalies available. I don't think all those things have that impact. And it's not the media's role to do that. I think it's the media's role, like what a Speck is doing. He's critiquing what the team is doing and critiquing how they're playing and what he feels like is going on in the dressing room, as much as he can glean that from what they say. It is quite different because, when I was a sportscaster at K97 when I first started doing it, I think there were 9 local radio sportscasters.
Wow.
So you go to practice, those 9 guys would be there, and then all the TV guys and gals would be there as well. And so you've got about 15 mainstream media people at a practice. You know, now it's so different. It's just, and plus the teams have pulled things inside.
Yep.
So they, like, if you know, if I went to the Oilers and said, hey, I got an idea, I want to do this little piece with so-and-so, no. And then they'll do it themselves, right? Because they brought that in-house. And I can't say I blame them. I don't think it's healthy, though, for the media sort of sphere, but that's the way it goes. But no, I don't think the media has a role to pressure anybody to do anything. I think media should critique what the Oilers do on a game-to-game basis. It happens, and people say their opinions. Whether it moves the needle, probably not. I think, though, there is such thing as pressure building on a team to say, you know, Oilers fans have had enough. It's always hard to read that now for me, because previously it might have been reflected in the mainstream media.
Right.
A consensus sort of builds, and that doesn't mean it's always correct. But now it's harder to read because it's so diffuse.
Yeah, it's all over the place.
Yeah, like I would say too, like just flipping the script. So being on the player side, I guess when I was playing, especially here in Edmonton, like more guys were willing to go at the team, kind of like similar to what Spec does.
Yeah.
And now it's kind of transitioned to where it's like you're just trying to give a fair take, but at the same time, you're not trying to like burn bridges. You're trying to have like relationships with guys so you can get more stories. Like, so it's media has transitioned. It's changed as well. So it's not so much like I'm just going to be in your face, because you see a lot of guys actually speaking out about it now more than ever. So like, for example, Jordan Eberle, as soon as he left, what did he say? He talked about the fans. He talked about the media being hard on him. And so I think you have to change, and media has changed because of that.
I think too, though, that the generation of players, and beyond just because they're NHL players, but that generation of people have a different attitude toward people coming at them.
Yep.
You talk about university professors talking about their students and their ability to critique them, and they don't want to hear it. So I'm not saying that the players are sort of don't want to be held accountable, or they don't want to hear the criticism, but I think there's something to that. It's just not as well taken. Back in the day, first of all, you did what you were told when the coach told you something. Coaches don't coach like that anymore. They can't, right? And you as a coach know that. You can't just tell them, do this, and because they go, why? Why?
They want more information.
They want to know.
Ever,
and that's certainly fair. And so, but that feeds into the whole difference in the way things are.
Yeah. Like players are willing to take the criticism if you build the trust with them.
Yeah.
So like Tommy's at all the scrums. If they know, okay, well, like, yeah, he's going to probably critique my game, but at the same time, he's not just going to rip me. So I trust that he's going to do that. They're willing to open up a little bit more. And on the coaching side, it's the same thing. I can push them further if I know, or if they know that I've got their back and that I actually care about them. But if I'm just going to go in there, iron fist, or on the media side and just be like, yeah, well, I don't really care who you are, I'm just going to rip you. Well, like now they're completely reserved to you and they don't even want to open up. So it's, sorry, go ahead.
No, the hypothetical example I used that night after I read that text was, so do you want me to walk up to Darnell Nurse and be like, hey, Darnell, I just want you to know you're playing like absolute crap.
Yeah.
And you need to know this. Like, what's he gonna say if someone were to do something like that? Like, thanks, a-hole. Appreciate it. I had no idea. Oh, I should play better now. Like, and I know that's kind of like a bit of a hyperbolized example, but it's like
it's a typical example online. You get lots of people saying, well, "Why don't you go up and say to Nurse, hey, you're making $9 million. You played like that." Like, would you say that to anybody in your life?
Like, you wouldn't say that. You wouldn't walk up to that guy and say it to his face. So like, like Roslovic's kid plays for our hockey team now.
Oh.
So if I go on air and I just absolutely give it to this guy, and then I see him in the rink and be like, hey, what's up, buddy? He'd be like, are you kidding me? You just ripped me.
Now you gotta be my buddy?
Yeah, now you gotta be my buddy. Like, there's gotta be an impartialness to it and have fair takes and conversations.
Yes.
And part of what I say with Skinner is that, okay, he needs to be better. But when he makes a save that we all clamor for, then give him
He made the save that turned into the goal.
Yep.
That won the game, right?
Exactly. So you can't have it both ways. You can't just be like, I'm going to rip him over here all the time And then when they win and he makes that save, be like, well, he still sucks.
Well, this speaks to something that I experienced as say the host of the morning show as a journalist, right? CBC consider me a journalist. Many people may not. I don't know. But I'm the host of the show. I've got to approach it in a journalistic fashion. And people always say to me, you got to do this, got to do that. I said, you guys are saying this, and you should be saying that. And I'm like, well, the whole concept when I approach something and ask a question of somebody, is it fair? Mm-hmm. Is it a fair question? I don't think you want to put people in a position that is accusatory. So asking a question that assumes a certain answer, which I think happens a lot. So you ask a fair question and you challenge people. And I think it often doesn't have, people ask unfair questions. And that's where people get their back up. Like, what? Mm-hmm. It's assuming something, as it would say in the courts, where evidence not in there. So it's assuming facts that are not in question. Right. And so you have to be fair. And so I think it's fair to ask these players questions about their play and what they're doing and that sort of thing. But I mean, it's assuming facts not in that are there, not there. So.
What did you call it? How to get punched in the face 101? Yeah. Let's try that.
The other thing too is that like having being part of CBC, they would often send a news reporter down when something happened big in sports, and they would come in and they would say to me, so we're going to send so and so down. I said, okay. So you got to know the rules of the road. Like I go to the legislature, I have to know what the protocol is when I'm talking to ministers.
How it goes.
So you can't walk in the locker room and start asking questions of this and that. You got to follow the rules and know. And I'm not talking about treating people with kid gloves. It's just protocol. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to go into a scrum if I was say you guys said, hey, can you fill in for me on Edmonton Sports Talk and go down to practice? Yeah, great. I'm not going to walk into that scrum and just be the first guy to ask Connor McDavid a question. I would not. That would not be my role. I would wait. I would say, okay, these other guys here every day, they know what's happening. They might ask the question. And if nobody asks the question that I want to ask at the, toward the end, I would say, Connor, hi, Mark Connolly from Sports Talk. Want to ask you this question and ask the question. Because that's the protocol. Yeah. That is like fair. And that's the way it works. You gotta follow, there's a system sort of, and a lot of unspoken rules, and not everybody understands them.
That is true.
Yep.
Yeah, I've been in media for 16 years. I've been in locker rooms. I have an idea of how they work. I've never been at a city hall or a ledge.
Right.
I don't know what I would do, how it goes. You'd have to learn from someone because you can't just go in and like, hey, Premier, I got a question. It's not going to go that way.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, it doesn't always work. I also just I will say this, like fans get upset that the media doesn't ask the tough question, but when tough questions do get asked, how dare you call out our player?
Yeah.
How dare they're in you're supposed to be pumping them up. Why are you calling out our player? Like, and it's like, well,
there it is.
Which one do you want? Right. Do you want them to be called out when they want? But then when they get called out a little bit, or there's a question that you don't like, it's how dare you put that on a player? You don't think that they don't like. It's funny how it just goes back and forth, and to a degree. And look, hey, we're all media, so we're defending the media here in that sense. But there's no win.
No,
there just isn't going to be a win.
Well, there's so many people who are paying attention that there's going to be thoughts on each side of it.
Yeah.
Especially when the frustration kicks in, right? Like,
yeah.
In that 9-1 win, it didn't matter what you had to say. You weren't talking people off the ledge that they wanted to be on. So it's kind of like, okay, well, you think what you need to think, and there's more people than ever, but that's just where they live, and so.
And there's not a question that could be asked that Oilers team that they don't already know of how they performed on that Saturday night.
Exactly.
Like they absolutely know that they played like dog crap.
Yeah, it's the worst thing that could possibly happen. Like as a professional athlete, you get your teeth kicked in at home because now everybody's pissed. At least if you were on the road, right, and you're playing that game, people can turn it off, and then you don't have to watch anymore. But everybody was here. The spotlight was focused on you, and there's nowhere to hide. Right, on the road.
I will say this though, that one thing that bugs me that I see NHL players do, and I'm not going to point out any specific person, but they get mad at a question, and it's like, what do you expect people to ask?
Right.
There's no good way to ask the question because you're going to get pissed off. Yeah. And so, what are we supposed to ask then? If you're mad about everything that we ask, I find the players being unfair often in those situations.
Ask them like this. if they got their asses kicked, be like, "Oh, why were you less awesome today?" I know you're sick, but why weren't you as sick as normal? Yeah, and maybe that eases the blow. And then this text comes in Paris Jewelers inbox 780-218-9999. Just says, "This new generation is soft."
That's you two, right?
Oh yeah,
That's
We're the same.
Are you the same?
We're
age?
the same age.
Are you
yeah.
serious, Tom? You know, Tom looks like he's 19.
Thank
I know
you.
he does.
And you look like 49.
We played hockey
So
against each other. Oh boy.
Thank you very much.
By the way, you know, one of the really funny things that happened one time when I was covering the Oilers, I was on the road in Toronto. I think I was in Toronto for a bobsleigh. You know, CBC used to fly me to Toronto to do bobsleigh, but the Oilers were in town playing the Leafs. So I went to practice that day, and I'm kind of, the Oilers are on the ice, they're practicing, they're not really doing anything organized, they're just sort of doing, and I'm walking, I'm looking at Maple Leaf Gardens because I hadn't been there before, and I kind of walking down, I look and I trip and go head first, and a couple of players saw me trip, and they were just started killing themselves laughing and pointing at me, and I'm like, yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
just like
and then every time I would talk to these two guys who saw it, they would just bring it up every time. I was like, okay, thank you.
Yeah, they won't let that one go.
What was it, like 90s?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, early 90s.
wow.
I'm trying to think who the defenseman was. Anyway, it was.
Joaquin would probably know them. Joaquin probably played with them.
It's a Loblaws now, Maple Leaf Garden.
It is, but they have like
Loblaws?
center ice
really?
in the middle of the aisle where center ice used to be.
It's a Loblaws in one level, and I think there's something else above it.
Yeah.
But they've completely transformed it into some other things.
Whatever Ryerson is now, University, what is it called? Toronto.
Metropolitan.
Yeah, Toronto
Yeah.
Metro.
Oh, did they changed their name?
They have
Yeah.
their athletic
I don't know.
department.
Ryerson is a bad guy. He got canceled.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Guy Ryerson. whatever.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Did not know that.
Either did I.
I learned something
Yeah.
new there.
Oh, there you go. See?
So they
That's because
have
Tom and I are woke. And you guys.
straight up. Yeah. Cancel that guy.
By the way, since we're talking about arenas, Shawn, and you've probably talked about this over the years, but like when you played like in those iconic arenas like Chicago Stadium or Boston or
No, I
Toronto,
didn't play in
you
those ones. I'm not that old. So,
which ones did
I'm
you
40.
play in?
So Iconics would have been the Joe. That was
That one had a weird smell to it.
that one. Yeah, like it when you walk in, you're like, this is not really nice. But
No.
then you see all the pictures on the wall.
Yeah.
you're like, man, this
It
is
was weirdly configured.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Because I went to a game there one time. It was Oilers playing Detroit. I mentioned Paul Graham, who'd retired, and I was in Toronto for something. He says, "You want to go to Detroit for a game?" I'm like, yeah, okay. So we hop down car, head down there. We get in our seats. You couldn't see the ice.
What?
So there's a top row, and then there was one row of seats behind the top row. And we're sitting there, and we sit down, I go, what? We can't see the ice. And the usher comes there, you can sit on the back of the seats. I'm like, okay. So we're sitting up on the back of the this is insane. Who put these seats here?
That's
Hilarious.
like, honestly, that was like the crushed can in Moose Jaw.
Oh.
So at the one time, it almost looked like a crushed can, and if you're on this side, you couldn't see the other side. And so like people always chirped that one. But no, Joe Louis was awesome. Nostalgia, like
They had really
was
old boards
crazy.
in there. I don't think they ever replaced the boards.
no,
Really?
I don't think so
Like
either.
the
but
framing of them.
it was such an interesting one because I was with Dallas at the time when I first went there, and I remember at the time it was always like the first home game of whatever like team you played for, you dress up a big time lineup, and then if you're the road team, you dress half the guys. It was the weirdest thing.
Was it an exhibition?
Yeah.
Okay,
and so then
yeah.
when we got to Detroit, they dressed their entire lineup. Us with Dallas, we dressed half our lineup, a couple guys here and there. And I'm sitting down and I'm like, oh, there's Chelios. Oh, there's Shanahan. Oh, here's another guy. So my first shift was good. Got a plus. I think I had an assist too.
Nice.
And then the second shift was meet the grind line. Iserman, Maltby, Draper. And then I think I went -2 after that. Straight down to the farm.
Now, did you ever play Madison Square Garden?
Nope, never got to.
Oh.
Really?
Nope, never got to. Most of my games ended up in the West. So even when I was playing in the minors, I was always in the Western Division. Never played in the Eastern Division.
Bell Center, though, would have been
Bell
sick.
Center would have been was awesome.
Yeah.
that was pretty cool.
That's like,
Who's the hockey player you met while you were playing, could have been retired, that you were excited to see or meet?
Gretzky obviously is one of them. Bobby Orr, met him at the top prospects game. I think he was coaching the other team. I had Don Cherry.
Okay.
Those were two pretty cool guys. Like, they're just very interesting. And then you obviously see all the videos. And you're like, hey, that's unbelievable. So,
Well, I mean, I saw Bobby Orr play when I was a child on TV, but yeah, amazing. People can. I mean, obviously, it's hard to appreciate players from other generations.
he was so down to earth.
Yeah,
Right. Like, I think that was the coolest part about it. You get a lot of guys, not a lot of guys. There's some guys that, you know, they know who they are, and they live a little bit higher than what you are. But for him, he was just so down to earth. He made a point of connecting with everybody, talking to everybody. He just made himself like, hey, I'm just one of the guys today.
That made it so much sadder when the whole thing happened with Trump. And everybody aware of this story that he wrote a letter supporting Trump.
It's an op-ed or whatever in Boston Globe or
Boston
something.
Globe. And the story I heard from that was that basically somebody just came to him and said, hey, would you do this and we'll pay you this much money? You know, because that's what players do. They market themselves. And he said, oh, okay. And not really knowing or realizing the ramifications of it, because it had serious ramifications on his life.
Yeah.
It's sad to see.
Yeah. I met him at they do like a prospects event at the draft, and I think it was the one in Florida, and he was down there for something, and I had to go on the bench with my shooter at the time, and he was on the bench, and he like had to squeeze by me. He's like, hey, how's it going? And he like shook me. I'm like, whoa, Bobby Orr. Hey, good.
We used to shoot from the bench all the time. You would remember this too, that when at practice, that's what we did as you know, television journalists and cameramen. They would shoot from the bench during practice, and it was like up close and guys coming by and chatting. It was a whole different vibe.
It's cool.
Than now.
Yeah,
they don't allow that anymore.
The interviews at the bench during the practices or before, was it you that was telling me about it? Like back in the day, you would just walk out there and then like wave them over and be like, "Okay, let's talk about this."
Yeah, absolutely.
Now
guys
you
just come. I mean, now you got to get approval.
Yeah. Oh, that would have been awesome.
Now it's very regiment.
When I met Gordie Howe, that was one of my favorite things. I met him the night Gretzky broke his record too. So that was cool.
Oh, really? That would have been really cool.
Don't you have a great story about the night Wayne came back and you ended up working the game for the American
long story.
broadcast?
I guess we got time,
this
right?
is
We got 2 hours. Oh, we got 2 hours and a half left. We got lots of time for it.
Yeah.
So that was October 1989?
Yeah.
Right? So I was working at CBC. I'd been there for not quite a year. So I was doing weekends at CBC. I worked at the time when I started working at CBC, I worked at K97 as well. And then I got fired from K97, but that's another story. And so then I was freelancing. So I'm working weekends at CBC. I'm doing some little bit of here and there and that kind of thing. And so that night, I wanted to go to the game. I had a pass, so I could go. But a friend of mine called and said, hey, can you be associate producer for Sports Channel America? I'm like, yeah, what's that? He goes, well, all the networks going to be there. So Hockey Night was there, Prime Ticket from LA, Sports Channel America, which broadcast throughout, is kind of like the ESPN of its era at the time. And then the local, I think ITV was also doing the game. Maybe.
Really?
I'm just trying to think if Hockey Night, and anyway, maybe not.
How would they get 4 broadcasts in that old building?
There's at least 3, so I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
So I said, what do I got to do? He said, well, you're gonna be down in a little locker room, and you just got to facilitate the interviews that Sports Channel wants to do with various people between periods and then post game. And he said, if you can, and they'll pay $100 American. I'm like, oh, awesome! That was a lot of money at the time. So he says, if you can bring somebody, bring your runner as well. I'm like, great. So I phoned my buddy Rob. Rob and I know it's 12 years old. I said, you want to go to the game tonight? And work at the game? He's like, yeah, right on. I said, okay, wear a tie and bring a camera. Okay. So you got a tie and his jacket, and we're all dressed up. And so we get down there and meet the producer, and tells me everything you do. So between first period, it's going to be Bruce McNall.
Yeah.
In the second period, it's going to be Gordie Howe. After the game, it's going to be Gretzky. Like,
not
okay,
bad.
That sounds great.
That's a nice.
Yeah. So Rob has to go run and get everybody. I'm sitting in a studio like this, and I'm basically putting the cans on him, like the headset, and they're going to talk to the guy upstairs who's doing the, and it was Gary Thorne.
Oh, wow.
The
Legend.
play-by-play guy. Yeah. Super nice guy, too. I met him that day. And so he's doing the interview, and so I've got to put him on and focus up the camera and everything like that, and then he does the interview between periods. So McNall comes in, very nice good guy. He's chatting with us and blah, blah, blah. I say, isn't this exciting? Yeah. And we're, Rob and I are kind of, well, these guys took Gretzky, so we don't want to be that nice to him. So he does his thing. And then second period, it's going to be Gordie Howe. So I said, okay, go and get Gordie. And then all of a sudden, Gordie bursts through the door and he goes, hey guys, this is Sports Channel. I said, yeah. He says, I got to piss like a racehorse. You got to. He starts laughing. And I said, yeah, it's a locker room, so there's a washroom there. So anyway, he starts taking a leak and starts telling us stories about times he had to go to the bathroom during games. And we're killing ourselves laughing. Like, Rob and I are just like, oh my God, we're laughing our heads off. And so, I sit him down. He does the interview. I say, hey, we get a picture. He says, sure. So we get one of the guys come in. They take a picture of Rob, me, and Gordie.
Yep.
And we're all smiling, laughing. So, and then post game, of course, the whole thing happens. Gretzky breaks the record, and it's insanity. And I say to Rob, okay, it's gonna be crazy out there. You got to get him. Like, he's supposed to come here. He's gonna do Hockey Night in Canada, then he's gonna do Prime Ticket, then he's doing Sports Channel America, then he does the big news conference to everybody. So it's gonna be insane. So Rob was not in the media, by the way. He was just my buddy. But he'd been to a few things with me at different times, so he knew how to act at these places. And so he's kind of going around. So he does get, he talks to the PR guy, and they're going to bring Gretzky in. So they bring in, so the PR guy and Gretzky come in. And he sits down, and he's already gone through a couple of interviews, and so I explained to him, we're in a commercial right now. So I'm going to hook you up. You're going to talk to Gary, blah, blah, blah. Okay, yeah. And then the PR guy goes out. And so just in this thing, and it's not very much bigger than this room here. It's a small room. So Gretzky's there, Rob's there, I'm here. And I hook him up, and he's got some quiet time, so it's like 30 seconds. So I said, okay, 1 minute, yeah. And so then I lean in, I said, by the way, now he knew me because I covered the Oilers when he was with the Oilers. So he knew I was, but I didn't want to be too familiar with him. And I said, by the way, that's friggin' awesome. And he goes, oh, thanks. So I said to him, you know what? Do you mind after this, can we get a photo? And he said, yeah, no problem. That's all right. So PR guy comes back in. I'm counting it down. Then Janet Gretzky comes in, and then a whole bunch of other people. And I'm like, quiet. Mm-hmm. They do the interview. And then, and then as soon as he's done, I take the headphones off and everybody, oh yeah, we got to go. Blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, we just want to get a photo. And the PR goes, no photos. And Gretzky goes, no, I said I'd take a photo. So you take the photo. So he gives the guy the camera. So Rob and I, and so the guy's like, oh, how do you do this? And blah, blah, blah. And he's, and Rob goes, oh, you do this, do that. And so the guy takes the picture, and Gretzky and I are smiling like this. And Rob is like, going like this, instructing him on how to take the photo. And so we get the photo. Gretzky goes up. So then I get the photo printed into 8x10s, and one for me, one for Rob. And a few months later, Gretzky's back with the Kings, and he signs them for us. And
that's pretty cool.
That got
cool.
that.
Yeah,
nice.
But that was a fun night.
He's a good dude. Could you imagine having you could take any player on the Oilers right now. You could take Noah Philp, and could you imagine Oilers PR being like, okay, you're going to go to this, then you go to that TV station, then you're going to go to that TV station. Oh, by the way, you're doing radio, and then you have a press conference.
Yeah.
Not a chance in hell. Not a chance in hell. And those guys would do it back then.
Oh, yeah. That was a big night. That's for sure.
I think that's kind of still how soccer kind of does things at the big things. They have their main rights holders, and you hit those rights holders, and there's a number in soccer, like in World Cups and stuff, and then you got to go through the mix zone.
That's how it works in the Olympics too.
Yeah, and then you got to go deal with all the media, and I know DVD talking about one of them, and they're like hit the last World Cup, and you hit there's so much media that you have to do it over multiple stops.
Yeah.
And then you might still have to do a little bit more. Is that how Olympics are?
Yeah, the way the Olympics work is, and it depends on the venue, but each venue has more, obviously the track and field would be the biggest one.
Yeah.
And you do a gauntlet where you're going back and forth through. And what will happen is the first one will be NBC or CBS, whoever the American network is covering the Olympics. You have to go to that one. That's a requirement. And then the second one might be the home Olympic network. So say it's in London, it's the BBC. And then from there, it's a hierarchy of payment. Who paid the most.
Oh.
And so you have no obligation to stop anywhere else. You don't have any obligation, but you're going to stop at your home country probably. And so you're going to get that one. So, the CBC will be a long way. It might be way back in some venues and others might be a bit forward. Like they would say for swimming, because we have a lot of great swimmers, we were sort of at the front, maybe the third one in. And but I remember I had to do the interviews in 1998 for freestyle skiing. And we had a couple of good freestyle skiers. So, we were looking at guys and gals who were going to possibly medal. And so I was right next to NBC, and I think it was NBC. Anyway, so I'm sitting, and so I start chatting with the gal who's doing the, going to be doing the interviews. And I say, so what do you do? Are you a sportscaster? And she goes, no, I have an aerobic show on in Dallas. I'm like, what do you mean aerobic show? Like a TV show. So they asked me to come and do this. I'm like, oh, okay.
Wow.
She had no idea what was going on, like in the whole, and the producer's trying to give her questions to ask, and so I'd be standing next to her, and then she'd do her thing, and then they come next to me, and I think, oh wow, that's, because she asks some of the craziest questions I've ever heard.
First
It's
influencer.
setting you up nicely.
Yeah.
What?
That's
Okay.
okay.
Setting you
Right?
up real nicely. That this guy knows his stuff.
That would have been like one of the first influencers then.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's a
for
good
sure.
point, Ballsy. I mean, I don't know. Some of the lineups and rosters for broadcast now, you're just like, how are you on this broadcast? This makes no sense. So I guess that's been happening for a long time.
Yeah.
That's 98.
Well, I'm glad you brought up Olympics, because Mex Bezozu in our Nasty Chat, he wanted to know if you have a favorite event that you covered at the Olympics.
Well, I was very lucky to cover a lot of Canadian athletes who were competing for gold and who won gold. So those are some of my favorites. So I'll mention a couple. Obviously, Lori-Ann Munster, who's from Edmonton, and she went to the Olympics in Athens in 2004 as kind of a medal favorite, but maybe not the gold medal favorite. And certainly we hadn't pegged her. We thought maybe she'd get a bronze. Like just going on her past performances at World Championships and World Cup, she'd won some races and that sort of thing. But there were some really heavy favorites who were going to be really good. I was covering it with Kurt Harnett, which is, I could tell you 100 stories about, no, I couldn't tell you 100 stories about Kurt Harnett because I wouldn't be allowed, but Kurt and I had fantastic times at the Olympics. So we're covering that race, and the way it works in the sprint is it's like elimination, right? So she's in the semifinals, and if she wins that, she goes on to the gold medal final. If she loses, she goes to the bronze medal final. So she comes through, and she's going against basically the top seed from Australia, and she beats her. And at the end of that race, we call the race and everything. We're very excited that she's won, and we go off the mic and Kurt goes, she's winning the gold. Like she's winning the gold. That's what she got. I'm like, oh yeah, maybe. So then she comes up against the gal who I can't even remember who it was in the final. And it was, we thought she's got a great chance, and she was just powerful. She was so powerful that day. She peaked the right time. She was fantastic. We got to call the race. We know we're calling gold. We think for sure this is gonna be. And so that was very exciting to call that race. And somebody you knew, like I knew her, and I knew the struggles she'd gone through. And it's not like she's like this high-paid professional athlete. She had struggled to get to the Olympics financially and get the coaching she needed, all those things. And so you knew what she'd gone through to be there and how important it was. And it was just so awesome. And when I saw her after, she hugged me and almost broke her ribs. She's such a powerful person. And that was such a cool day. Such a cool day. Now, the other cool one was I've called 2 ties at the Olympics.
Oh, yeah?
Okay.
Yeah. So 1998 in Nagano. So it's my first Winter Olympics, and I'm calling bobsleigh. And the Canadians, Pierre Luders and Dave McEachern, and the Italians are really close, like hundredths of a second. Now, bobsleigh, for some reason, unlike some other sports, don't go to the thousandth of a second. They only go to the hundredth. Don't know why, but that's the way it goes. So we're the Clark Flynn was my color commentator. He was an interesting character in himself. He was a bobsleigh pusher, brakeman. And he had been implicated in the Dublin inquiry, so he got caught taking steroids. And it was interesting, but he knew his stuff really well, and we had a good time working together. And so we're heading into the final. It's the last run. Only a hundredths of a second separate the Canadians and the Italians. And I said to him, "This is 5 minutes before we go on the air." I said to him, "Hey, what did they ever tie? Like, has anybody ever tied? Because I hadn't covered bobsleigh very long,
Right?
Maybe like 6 months." And he goes, "Oh yeah, that's happened. They've tied." I said, "At the Olympics?" He goes, "Yeah, in 1968, Germany and somebody else tied." I said, "What did they do?" "Well, at the time, they did a count back to the third run. Whoever's in the lead got the gold." He says, "But now if they tied, they both got the gold." I'm like, "Oh, okay." Call the race. They tied. And like,
That's unreal.
And I was like shocked. We looked at each other and I go, they both get the goal. Something like that. It was like not great, but it was okay. We knew what would happen. 20 years to the day, covering the 2018 Olympics in South Korea. Canada and Germany, I'm calling it with Helen Upperton. Canada and Germany are very close, and the Canadians are last. They come down and they tie again. But now this time I know. I've called this before. And so I I nail it, blah, blah, blah. And I have to say it's probably one of my best calls because I was so confident. Yeah. I'd covered bobsleigh for 20 years by then. And boom, boom, and it happened again. And it's just like, oh my God. So that was amazing.
That's pretty neat.
That was cool.
Okay, here's a question, because you've been around for a long time. Journalistic, you have to be impartial, they say, and all that. Yeah. How do you handle Olympics, though, when you're Canadian?
Yeah.
Can you find a way of being a little more homerish, if you will, or allow that excitement to get out because you are Canadian? Or how do you find that balance to keep it? Because CBC has always been praised for having perhaps one of the best Olympic broadcasts
I think
across the world.
They do.
Because they're very fair. They're just also like they cover the sports.
Everybody.
Yeah.
They don't care about just Canada. We're covering the sports.
Yeah.
But how do you balance that?
Well, it's something we talk about a lot.
Yeah.
And when I say we, I mean the CBC and the Olympic team. So how do you balance that? Well, it's like here. We know who the hometown team is. We're covering the Oilers, for instance. We're talking about the Oilers from the perspective of people in Edmonton. So when you're covering the Canadians at the Olympics, you're covering from the perspective of Canadians watching. But at the same time, you want to balance that with obviously who the top competitors are, what are the chances they have. You get very excited when a Canadian wins, but at the same time, you never say we. And that's something we have to, as broadcasters, figure out with the color commentators, right? Because even, Shawn, you would have that experience when you were covering the Oilers, and you might feel like it's we sometimes back in the day when you first retired. Well, these commentators are usually right off. They just were competing maybe last year.
Yes.
And they've always been we, and they've always had certain things they talk about. Like a lot of the women athletes will say the girls, because, we're girls. And we say, well, we're trying to stay away from that. That nomenclature say, we say these are women, not girls, even though you might say the boys, no, these are men. So we are by being very aware of it, but at the same time being excited about the team winning per se, and talking about the Canadians and the team, not the we. That's how you separate it, and I think you can do a good job of that with awareness, basically.
Okay. So
Thank you.
There are conversations about that.
There's conversations about it.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, for sure.
Tommy talks about that all the time.
I'm a big stickler for no we.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I think you're right.
Yeah.
And I mean, personally, like now I'm not covering sports full time. I'm dipping my toe in the water back again, but so I'm an Oiler fan. I always have been. I grew up. I had season tickets when I was 19. That's how you could afford it back in 1979. But I went to the WHA Oilers when I was a teenager, that sort of thing, and was a kid. So I've been an Oiler fan. I've grown up, but in my professional capacity, I know what the rules are now. Yeah. I know how to handle that, and I'm sure all of you do as well. That's just the way you should be. On the other hand, if you're a commentator or if your job is not to be, say, the journalist, but to be the commentator, maybe you have a different view of that.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I was going to ask a question just about, obviously having your experience, but when you look at the Canadian teams versus some of the other teams in the world, when it comes to the Winter Olympics, the Canadians generally do a little bit better because, Canada is winter. You get to the Summer Olympics, they don't do as well. But we also know, and this is kind of from my time at NATE, that Canada doesn't necessarily put money into athletes outside of the big sports.
Yeah.
And so then you go down to the States and you see how much money they pump into their athletes and how dominant they are. And now obviously size and population comes into that. Mm-hmm. But, based on your time and seeing how it's done across the entire sporting world, like, do you ever think there's going to be a time where Canada at some point just says, we're going to put more money into these athletes because we're so close in a lot of the sports, but it's like, it is that extra dollars that can allow them to have extra training time, which could push them to higher levels. It's just we don't see that, and we don't value that as Canadians.
Well, that's the key. What do you value? And when you look at what you value, that's where you put your money, right? And the Canadian sort of the way it works with a lot of these funding models, like the Own the Podium and that sort of thing, they tend to put the money into places where they say we have a chance to win. So the better you do, the more money you get. If you do poorly, you get less, and therefore you can't achieve. But I think the base funding is really low compared to many countries, and there's a lot of reasons for that, right? And part of it is because we don't have the same economy as the U.S. as far as people and levels. Like most of these athletes, for instance, you look at the bobsledders, they're paying to play, right? So you want to be part of the bobsleigh team, you make the team. Okay, we need $30,000 from you.
Yeah, and you got to go fundraise it.
You got to fundraise, you got to bring sponsors on board, that sort of thing. We have, I think, leading up to games that we are hosting, for instance, Vancouver, where we pump a lot of money in because you want the home team to do well. And all these funding organizations like Own the Podium and that sort of thing happen, or what's B2B, another one. Like there's a number of ones. Now they're controlled by other people too, so they're kind of separate from the government, and then they have their own philosophies of how they're going to fund it and that sort of thing. So, I mean, as a country, you have to look at what are the benefits of having these high-profile athletes achieving what they do, and how does that affect young people and their pursuit of sports or fitness. It's a debate. Like does high-end competitive sport really impact people wanting to do sports or to be physically active, right? We used to do those commercials of participation about the 60-year-old Swede is in better shape than a 30-year-old Canadian, which wasn't actually true, but it was a nice commercial, trying to promote fitness among people and good health. So the answer is I don't think it will change that much. To be honest, because it hasn't it's gone up somewhat, but I still see a lot of athletes who are, having to fundraise in teams like the World Cup women's rugby team. For instance.
Well, I was talking to Paul Appleese, and he's in charge of our flag football teams. And obviously this is brand new, right? This is going to be the first time in LA when they do have flag football at the Olympics. And he said right now the funding is so low that each player is pumping in about $7,000 each to be able to compete and to get some training. And the sad thing is, like, the players that they have on the roster now aren't even going to be on the Olympic team, basically, because they're going to get all the NFL guys that are playing in the Olympics. And now I saw the CFLs kind of open the door to allowing CFL players to go as well, but the roster's only like 10 to 12 players. And I think we have like 25 or 30 NFL players that are Canadian.
Good for us.
So like, but Lapo was getting autographed memorabilia from teams across the country to auction off to just ease some of the funding burden.
That's the case in a lot of sports. And when a sport becomes an Olympic sport, all of a sudden it attracts athletes from other sports who may be able to compete at that level in that particular sport. And there's a whole bunch of amateurs doing whatever it might be, as far as, say, skiing or cross, all these different sports that have been brought in, say, in the last 20 years. When it becomes an Olympic sport and there's more money there and sponsorship opportunities, others who've been skiing in another venue say, oh, I'm going to compete in that. And all of a sudden they usurp the people who might have been competing on the circuit for maybe even a couple of years because they're just higher end athletes.
You would think, though, that the Olympics would bring in more sponsors to be like, we want to sponsor these teams to try to get them.
No, the Olympics are all about the Olympics, not about the athletes. You know what I mean? Like, all that sponsorship money is not going to actually athletes. Right?
And look, as a country, we are only 40 million people. There's only, as you said, the economy, there's only so much money that we have to pump around. You're only going to produce so many high-end athletes. And, we don't have the capabilities to be the U.S., to be China, to be the United Kingdom.
It's not about trying to be at that level, though.
No, but in the one sense, we had, like, the Summer Olympics, we have grown significantly. Like, we actually are medaling quite a bit right now, and the star of the next Summer Olympics might be Canadian in summer, summer.
Summer McIntosh.
She might be the star of the 28 Olympics.
That's cool.
Like, she might come away with just a ridiculous amount of medals.
Which would be nice to see.
And, like, that's, I don't know if, our track team's still pretty good. It's actually impressive what we've done with the summer, with the limited funding that there is.
And especially with the competition, because there's so many more countries in the Summer Olympics.
Yeah.
Like there's something like, I think 202 countries compete. And some of those countries they might only compete in 2 sports because that's what their population has, but they're really good in those 2 sports, you know?
Yeah, that opening ceremonies is like 4 hours long. So you got to keep introducing another country.
I love the summer. I love watching the summer. I enjoy it
awesome.
more than the winter nowadays. It's great. And now the next LA ones, it's LA, Oklahoma City.
Yeah, what a combo.
Like there's
What's Oklahoma City?
Rowing?
They're doing
Rowing? Oh, really?
I thought and baseball. Do they have
Maybe
too?
baseball. Yeah, well, they have the AAA park there. It's really nice.
Yeah, they have.
I think Oklahoma City is the same size as Edmonton, I think.
Yeah, roughly. I mean, we both lived there.
Yeah, we did.
LA
Yeah.
2020.
You both lived there?
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
Why? Were you playing hockey?
I played for the Oilers farm team there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
And what were you
Well,
reporting
the
there?
lockout, they moved us down there to cover because
Oh,
it was
really?
Everly, Hall, Schultz,
Right.
Nugent Hopkins, and so we had a.
How was that experience?
Interesting. It was different.
Right around Fridays at 2:00, the air
siren.
horn, the siren would go on. 'Cause
Tornado
they're
warning
always
siren.
testing the tornadoes.
Yeah.
Warnings.
Really?
So it's right in the middle of your nap.
Yeah.
Here it goes.
And the bathrooms at the airport and in some buildings said designated tornado shelter.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the sign outside of it. It was different. I mean, I always make the joke that it's like football on Saturday, college football Saturdays, NFL football Sundays, make love to my wife Betsy, a couple of Bud Lights, shoot some guns, and it's a nice weekend. Yeah. Oh, and don't wear sleeves.
You're gonna have to ask Bill Scott about because I think I just left and I can't remember if there was an earthquake there or what it was. Or
There was
if
a
it was,
huge flood.
there was a massive flood, but wasn't
tornado.
it off of a tornado?
Yeah.
Yeah. So then they had to evacuate the game.
Yes.
They all went under the parking garage.
Yes.
Yes. Because I was gone by that point, but that was because he told me about that. It was crazy.
The parking garage too. This parking garage has a crazy history. It's literally underneath the arena, underneath the ice surface where you guys
Yep.
played. There was NHL neutral site games that have been played at that building in the 90s when they were trying to expand. Also, Timothy McVeigh began his journey to the federal building with the van parked in that parking garage.
Oh, wow.
They uncovered his route was from under. He had parked it there. It was all loaded up, and then he drove to the Murrah Federal Building and killed all those people. Which is, I went to that. Did you ever walk through that memorial? Oh, it was so sad, man.
I bet.
So sad, and it was only a few blocks away from the arena. Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, they had to, and the water that was flooding in was insane there. So anyway, there's that.
See, we have a flood here, then it all freezes up. You could play on it. Doesn't matter.
There you go. Get your skates out.
I remember when I was a kid, there was a mayoral candidate who said we should flood the streets, and we're going to flood the streets, and you could skate to work.
Well, when I was
did
a
not
kid,
win.
I
He
used
did
to.
not
We lived in Otwell, and I used to put my skates on at our back door, and I would skate to the local thing. I would skate down the back alley, come around a corner, and then some of the dads had flooded the ice at the the turnaround near us, and so I would skate all the way there.
Jeez, that's actually not bad.
Yeah, it was great.
Well, it's one way to get to work.
Yeah.
This is the EST Hangout presented by Sentinel Storage, Canada Storage experts, more than 2 decades helping Canadians through life transition. Canadian storage provider, find a convenient location nearest you. Check them out, sentinel.ca. At 11 o'clock, it is the Lock Shop, myself and Huss. We've got Oil Stream today at noon, EST Afternoons, Reed Wilkins Show as well. Plus, GCLD's Oil Stream pre- and post-game shows today as Tommy and Benny will get you set for the Oilers game as they head out east for a 7-game road trip.
Live on location, BP Clareview. Join us.
Oh.
Yeah, they have good
Nice.
ticket giveaways, prizes, all kinds of stuff. Sorry, Maddie.
No, Mark Connolly, Shawn Belle, Tom Gazzola, Matt Iwanyk with here with that. Let's get to Play Alberta over under. For Play Alberta, download the app, visit them, playalberta.ca. EST Sports, deposit 50 and get a free $50 sports bet. So it's a 7-game road trip. If I set it at 3.5 wins, over or under for the Oilers in this 7-game road trip, I will go through this road trip of what the Oilers have coming up. The Edmonton Oilers start with tonight's game out in Philly, tomorrow Columbus, Carolina on Saturday, Buffalo next Monday, Washington next Wednesday, Tampa next Thursday, Florida next Saturday.
Ugh.
The schedule just the Belsey can't handle the
Belsey
schedule.
is sick.
I mean, unfortunately, I'd have to go with the under. I don't know.
The way they're playing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Monday's the turning point. This
Yeah.
sets them off. That win.
Buffalo?
No, this past
Monday.
win.
Oh, I thought
It's
you
just
were talking about
one. They didn't play
Buffalo
poor, or they played poor, rather poor. Probably didn't deserve the victory. Get the victory. This is now going to set them off. Zach Hyman's coming back at some point. You project.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I'm going to go with that.
I'd take the over only because we expect them to do one thing. All the indicators point one way.
So they're going to do
and
the
then
other?
they just do the total opposite because they're so Oilers. It's unbelievable. Like they have been a listless team all season long.
Well, one of my philosophies when I was a sportscaster was always to predict the thing that I didn't want to happen, because then if I was right, I was, okay, well, I guess I was right about that. And if I was wrong, I'd be happy because I actually want the Oilers to win.
Well, that's like the counter, when you counter bet, you're like, I bet against them, but they won. And it's like, okay, fine.
But I think that the Oilers have just been lackluster. They've been so listless. It's been, I don't know, lack of motivation. I don't know why that happens, or where their headset is, or if they're just not good enough. Most of the players are just not good enough. But you look at the lineup. I also think that as Oiler fans, when people look at the lineup before the season, everybody projects everybody to have a career year. And they say, this is how good this team should be, because look at all these guys. Like, well, not everybody's going to play as well, and some people are going to be injured. They're not going to play as many games as you think. And some of these guys are not going to turn out as you think, and maybe there'll be surprises. Like Roslovic is a surprise.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't project that before the season because you didn't know he was going to be part of it, really, leading up until he's in there. And you're like, well, who is this guy? What is he? I think he's a really great addition. I mean, he's looked really good to me for the most part. Maybe he's not having the impact that you say, okay, he's not like the third best guy in the team right now. Although maybe he is, considering how bad everybody's been.
Yeah.
So you look at it, and even when I look at McDavid the other night, that's the McDavid that you expect. Like, he was so good the other night. He was, and he hasn't been that. Like, he's collected his points, but the way he was stick handling and getting through guys and that sort of dipsy doodly, he gets poke checked 9 times out of 10 in the first few, whatever, how many games before that game. And that night, nobody could touch him. And you're like, that's what we're used to seeing. And we haven't got that from him.
You see the look on his face after he scored the Spinorama goal? It was just like,
yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Although he did smile after the overtime goal. So that's
good. Positive.
But I got the 2 points.
Do you think that's just because they've been to the Stanley Cup Finals and they say, okay, like, we don't care about this as much. We want to get there.
I think in the back of their head, that's playing on them.
Yeah.
They don't want to think that. It's a hard thing to overcome. Yeah, but I think it is happening in the back of their
They know that the grind, it's too much of a grind if you give it all from September, from when preseason starts, to the end of June. It's such a long slog that if you give it your all night in and night out, you are going to just run out. You're just going to run out of energy. And for guys like Connor stuff, they know the Olympic year too, so they don't get the break. Like some of your bigger names, they're not getting a break. They have to go and also do Olympics, which is going to be draining in itself.
But trying to pace yourself is a dangerous thing.
It is.
I know.
But I wonder if they sit there and they go, well, like, just we'll pace it. We did it last year. Like, that's what they might be saying. We did it last year. We paced ourselves. We had that bad start last year, boys, and we figured it out and we got it. Maybe that's just what they're going with right now. But I think the anger that we saw this past weekend from them, now they're noticing maybe they've let it slide too far.
Yeah.
That they're going, okay, we can't, this is slid a little too on. We're allowing a little too much to happen. Let's go. And then hearing that Connor got pretty pissy with the team inside the room.
Apparently he shredded them after the game on Saturday.
And then on Sunday on the ice, he was very vocal. The fact that, not happy with scoring a great goal or something, maybe now is the time where they're sitting there going, okay, we've taken this too far. Now we got to get going because we don't want to dig ourselves too big out of too big of a hole.
Shawn, let me put this theory out there and see what you think as being part of some of these top, an NHL team. If you've got a really good team, 75% of your team could be going at top notch all the time, and that's good enough to win. And so, as you say, everybody's not going to be 100% through the whole lineup at all times. But what happens when a team like this seems like everybody's at 50% and nobody is excelling? It doesn't seem like anybody is doing really, really well or having a great season.
Well, I think that's where the structure comes in, right? So, your coach, your team puts in structure, and then they have the details within that. So part of that is, okay, well, not everybody's going to have their best game, much to what you guys are saying.
Right.
So if you have that foundation of proper details, proper habits, and you have the structure, you can kind of fall into it and you can hide. And yes, I'm playing my C game, but I'm still doing the right things because my stick positioning is in the right spot and I'm not getting burnt and I'm not, costing the team games.
Right.
The problem is right now when you look at the team, well, like there's zero detail. And it's okay, well, this turnover happens because, well, I'm just going to throw this puck aimlessly without looking, and then the guy's just going to, take it to the net, but I'm not going to back check. Yeah. I sent you a clip yesterday. Or was it yesterday or 2 days ago?
Yep.
And if you look at the clip and you watch it and just press play and you go, okay, well, that's Nurse's fault. But then when you actually dive into the clip, the way that they played it was a straight 3-on-2. And then the puck moves from the center, so middle lane drive to the left winger. From there, you can see Wallman clearly point at McDavid, said, that's your guy. So the system they're playing is that if after the blue line or after the red line, essentially, if the puck moves east-west and you don't have the ability to now shift both of your defensemen, that forward goes to that player, and then you take the two guys that are driving to the net. So that's exactly what happened because you pause the clip and McDavid's got his player, Wallman's got his player, and Nurse has got his player. So if you look at it and you pause it, you say, okay, everything's good. Press play again. Nurse has his guy, but he goes by the net. He's behind the net. He's trying to stop a guy from going to the net. And so everybody's like, well, $9.25 million player is behind the net. But who actually scores a goal? Well, it was Wallman's guy.
Yeah.
He left him. So, when you look at the video, it's like, okay, well, yeah, that's a terrible clip, but the whole play is like a small detail. You had great communication to McDavid, but then you forgot about your guy. He's the guy that ends up scoring the goal.
The comment from this Oilers fan says, just sit back and look at Nurse, quote unquote, defend here. This is the clip you sent me. I'm watching it right now.
So they're
is Wallman's
instantly
guy.
seeing Nurse, and they're saying that that's his guy because Nurse is behind the net. And I understand that. Yes, he probably needs to stop on the net, but at the same time, it's a 3-on-4 because Mangiapane's in the picture as well. That can't happen because you're literally standing right in front of him, and that's a detail thing.
Wallman's got his stick in the air. It looks like he's fencing.
It's a detail, and it's as simple as okay, well, that could have cost you the game right there because of a very simple lack of detail.
Yeah.
So
Good
you're
analysis.
not always going to have it. But if you have the right details, right foundation, structure.
9.25.
I'm gonna pull a Gordie Howe. And anybody who was listening earlier will know why.
Oh. Love it. Okay, I got this text coming in. Paris Jewelers inbox 780-218-9999. It's from the Edmontarian. Says, gentlemen, heading down to Buffalo next Monday with my daughter to see the Oilers. I bought tickets on a BOGO promotion. That's buy one, get one off. Lower bowl corner, $106 for the pair in
bad.
Buffalo.
USD or CAD?
That's a good question.
Yeah, but still, that's not even one ticket here, upper deck. That's lower deck.
What's one ticket cost here?
Oh, God.
Because I actually have no idea.
I don't think
Neither
it's
do I.
I think you can still
thought
get
it's
in
in
for
the
under
twos, isn't
100.
it?
I thought you could get in for under 100.
Could you?
I
Still?
thought up high. If you're going for nosebleed spot.
Resale, I'm sure you could get them
Yeah.
relatively cheap. I know people that wait till right around game time.
Yeah.
Next Oiler
You get
home
them
then they'll buy them.
game. We
Yeah,
got
'cause
Dallas
the price
on
gets lower.
Tuesday, the 25th. I will take away resale because that's not
Face
standard
value.
ticket. The cheapest, $94.75 with all fees.
That's not bad.
Okay, so that's still on our.
You're in the top deck, though.
Section 232, row 8 or row 9. So it's $71 plus then $23.75 in fees and taxes, and then it jumps up to $110 basically. So yeah,
So that one, you're sitting in the press box, and then one row lower, you get the $100 ticket.
no, same row, but you're moving more from the ends and starting to move towards center ice.
okay.
That's the difference there.
Yeah.
I remember the $25 half price
Nope.
Molson singles on Tuesdays
Never mind.
at the old Coliseum, and then beers were $1 less on Tuesdays as well. They're $5.50.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's based on the section. Then you start moving. There are lower rows,
Closer
but
you get to the
if
middle.
you go the same row, it's
Yeah.
just in the middle. It's higher.
Edmontarian says US.
Okay. Yeah,
USD.
but what, 135, 140?
Not bad.
Canadian?
But that's for 2 tickets.
For 2 tickets.
Yeah, that's a great price.
That's not bad at all.
Yeah, those half price singles, man. Those are great. Take advantage. Yeah. Sit in the drink rail behind, at the old building behind the nets after the top deck, there was like one thing of drink rail and they had like little boxes with numbers and that's what you would get. And it was awesome. It was the Pronger year. I would go with my buddy Brett and be like, hey, you want to go to a game tonight? Half price singles. Yep.
I still can't get over Rexall.
Why?
Because, like, who decided it was a good idea to have the team walk through the bar?
I think Glenn Sather did. Actually, Mark might know
Like,
about
it's
that.
still one of the most crazy things I've ever seen in sports.
You got to walk through the bar on your way to
And
the
I got chirped from my buddies.
as you should.
Yeah.
Because you guys sucked. Oh, God. Yeah, but that
Like, it's still such a crazy idea.
I don't miss
Because
that arena, but
the amount of rocks.
yes.
It's wintertime, so, like, you've got the carpet going through.
Yeah.
But the amount of rocks and, like, dirt that is right
They would
there.
have
Like,
the lady or the guy mop up.
yeah, but you're not
Now,
going to get all the... You got to
thing was,
vacuum that thing.
The walkthrough is there before the bar. They put the bar in after.
Yeah.
So the walk. That's how they walked out of the locker room to the ice.
Even in the old configuration.
Yeah. Before the bar was there. There was no bar there at the beginning.
What was there?
It was just sort of an open area. Fans could come down there.
Oh.
It was, at the beginning it was closed, and then they reconfigured it so that you see the vomitories, as they say, where you come out of the seating area, you come into there, and it was just sort of, and they marked it off, okay. And then when they started selling more booze, and they said, okay, we're going to put a bar in here, they put that bar right up against where you walk out.
Yeah.
And it was a strange sort of thing. At the time, though, everybody thought it was great. Oh, this is kind of unique. This is kind of cool. I'm sure as a player, it was kind of
No,
like,
it was
what?
not unique or cool.
Well, I remember one time Kevin Lowe, when he was coaching, or maybe he was GM, I can't remember. They're walking back and they'd been beaten badly. And somebody started chirping him from the bar and he went after the guy. And like, I'm not kidding, the security had to grab him.
Yeah.
And
I could see Kevin doing that.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you're like, in your head, you go, why are we doing this? It doesn't make sense. It's no different at Nate when you go up the cobblestone road to have a rink above a swimming pool, and then you complain above being like, man, there's a lot of humidity today. Well, no kidding.
I like that rink at Nate. I really like it.
It makes no sense.
I know it doesn't, but
It also makes no sense to have cobblestone all the way up and then everywhere else is nice and smooth.
yeah, no, that's fair.
There are some teams that come through bars nowadays.
But it's all closed off.
Yeah,
Closed
it's
off,
glassed off.
well, even
and
the
things like
Oilers
that.
now, they
Yeah.
come next to that little
The chairman's
chairman's
lounge.
lounge
yeah.
where all the,
That's
high-end
Those
folks
people are
are.
generally probably not going to
They're not
Exactly.
banging on
spout
the
off.
glass. Yeah.
They're not going to spout off and stuff.
I actually had dinner there one time with Daryl Cates' parents.
Oh,
You guys have been part of, the Oilers, and fans might not know this, but the Oilers put on a golf tournament for the media before the season. And what it is, it's all the scouts and the GM and the assistant GMs and the coaches and the media, and we all play golf. And then afterwards have like an informal, off-the-record hot stove and chit-chat.
It's a nice touch that they do that.
Yeah. And so I played with Bill Scott,
Yep.
who's an excellent golfer, and Dustin Schwartz, who's also an excellent
yes,
golfer.
he is. Yep.
Jack Michaels, who's not. Myself, who's I'm not a very good golfer. And there was a fifth, I think, in our group. Anyway, we ended up winning because of Dustin and Bill. And so we won, whatever, little Oiler pullovers and that sort of thing. But the next day, someone from the Oilers called me and said, oh, so when are you available for the dinner? I said, what dinner? Well, with Barry and Ida Cates, you guys won. Your team has dinner with him in the chairman's
Yeah,
lounge. I'm like,
because the Barry Cates
Oh.
Memorial Tournament.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
And when they first started it, Barry Cates was still alive.
Yeah.
And so they just called it the Barry Cates tournament.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so I said, oh, okay. So I said, well, I'm available in this. It was a game night, and they give you seats so you can go and watch the game in the seats, which I hardly ever do, right? So I went there, and then I had dinner with Ida and Barry. And now Bill and Dustin are working the game. And so is Jack.
Yep.
So I'm really the only one having dinner with them. And I had a lovely time. And the funny thing was that Barry Cates was our pharmacist back in the day at Capilano.
Really?
When he owned the drugstore. Now, I didn't remember much, but my brother did. He said, oh, yeah, my older brother said, well, I remember Mr. Cates. He was a very, very nice guy.
That's pretty cool.
To folks. And so I said, "Oh, my brother reminded me that that." Oh yeah, and he had a great time, and she was really lovely and they're very nice people.
Yeah.
So that was a nice experience for me, and it's not that long ago. It's probably 6 or 7 years ago.
Yeah, I think COVID was when he passed.
Yes.
Somewhere around there. Yeah.
So that was nice.
Yeah, that's a good touch.
Yeah.
So that bar. By the
Bar, yeah.
Like, come on.
Well, Mac T, when he was GM, some guy was giving it to him, but it wasn't in the bar area. It was, where you would leave the bar and Chad had the little booth that you had the window. Yeah, and then there was that, remember that as a side entrance to the locker room? Someone was getting after Mac, and Mac was ready to fight him, and JJ Bear had to pull him aside and just say, get in there, get in there. So that building had it had some interesting quirks to it. Remember that back corridor where the press conference room was? And remember when Dallas Aikens, were you there that day? Dallas Aikens almost got into it with a member of our media, where one of our colleagues and friends.
I heard about it, but no.
Yeah,
Was that when he got rid of all
out.
the donuts and said it's all
we
donuts
never
now?
had donuts. That's the thing. We've never had donuts.
Donuts were only there like the day one of training camp.
And muffins, yeah.
Yeah, it was one day, and then he came in and was like, "That's never happening again."
Like
Oh,
up in
it
the
happens.
press box,
Yeah.
there was never donuts.
Yeah, like
there was
it's-
never any of that. There was ice cream. I'm disappointed. There's no ice cream.
Yeah,
for the new place.
well,
I know. Now
I miss the ice cream.
we're down to pizza between one period.
Popcorn.
Pizza 73 and popcorn.
yeah.
yeah, they
Yeah, I
slowly
was-
cut away.
I was
And then
disappointed.
playoffs come and they add more to make it look good to the rest of the media. across
They
hockey,
do.
It looks
They-
like.
Well, there was supposed to be. Remember, we had ice cream up in the press box, the
Yes,
catwalk
it was
at Rexall.
great.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah.
They were going to try to do that here, but they ordered a fridge instead of a freezer for upstairs, and they didn't know it was a fridge and not a freezer, so they put a bunch of ice cream in there, and it melted the first game, and they're like, "Well, we screwed up."
Yeah, so just buy a new one.
No,
No,
that was
not
just the
gonna
end of
happen.
it.
Can they
I
not
miss
get the
the ice cream.
nachos back?
That's a price thing. We've asked about
was
that.
pissed
Yeah.
about that.
They
I was
make
pissed.
massive amounts of money through the playoffs, and then the next year they like take everything away from the media.
Yep.
Wah, wah. Nobody's
Yeah,
gonna care.
no one cares.
Nobody
No
cares.
one cares.
I worked with a guy
I'm
named
okay with-
Graham Thompson. Graham is still a reporter covering the legislature, and he was a CBC legislative reporter. He wouldn't even drink coffee at a press conference. He
Really?
would not take anything from anybody.
Wow.
That was his rule. Nothing.
I respect that.
That's pure.
Totally
That's pure
Yeah.
journalist.
No, I'm taking everything from those guys.
I'm having a coffee,
man.
popcorn, pizza.
I used to have this quote above my desk. It was from Sports Illustrated. It was like from some sports writer in the U.S. Something about sports writers are basically flatulence and halitosis held together by free golf shirts and meals. Yeah,
Good line.
Those free golf shirts are nice, though.
Yeah, they are actually.
The pizza that they get now, it's also cut it. Like they take a slice and then cut it in half, and
so
that's
you're
the
getting
piece
two
that you
pieces.
get.
Oh,
And then
boy.
now they're giving like two pieces. And you're like, why even bother cutting
Well,
this?
see,
Just give us the one slice.
there's a
Two
story
pieces
there
is
too.
nicer, though. It sounds nicer. I got two pieces
Yeah,
of pizza.
no, except when you look
Yeah.
at it, and there's still the
Oh, yeah.
pizzas that you got at pizza lunch or at school.
There,
Pizza 73.
that's right.
and it's good pizza.
There was.
It's not.
It used to
like
be
pizza
just
seven.
like go and pick.
Yeah.
Like your own slice, and there were some people that
they
maybe.
took
Well,
advantage.
famously, wasn't there one guy who used to take like 8 pieces every
Yes,
time?
there would be like a pile like
boy.
this, and so his nickname was Little Caesar.
Oh, boy.
There's always just feel to ruin that
Tinge came,
stuff.
yeah, it
do,
was ruined.
you guys have a pizza sponsor?
Boston Pizza?
and
Royal
Royal
Pizza?
Pizza in the morning shows.
Yeah, both good pizzas.
Yep.
Yep.
No, I'll watch the Oilers game at my local Boston Pizza with my buddy Sandy. We'll often go there.
Well, we're on location at Boston Pizza Clary for the GCL Diesel Oil Stream Pre and Post Game show today.
Nice.
Pizza 73 is only good in one particular spot. When it's about 3 a.m. and you are gone, you're full, let's call it that. And then you're like, I got to get some sustenance.
Yeah.
That's the only time Pizza 73 is good.
No, I
Are
love
you
pizza
old-
73.
Are you old enough to remember Funky Pickle Pizza?
Oh,
yeah.
Funky Pizza was great.
You guys
Yep.
do? Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Right on White Avenue when you were coming
So
out
good.
of the bar, and they were awesome.
Yeah, that place was great. And then I had it at the other game. And I'm like, why is it so different here? Because after alumni skates, we get Pizza 73.
And it's different
And
at
it's
the game.
so different. It's
Yeah.
actually good.
Oh,
Yeah, it's fresh. That's why.
It's the
'Cause they're
weirdest
doing it
thing
right
in the
there.
world.
Pizza 73 is delicious. Jake
not.
brought it in for some Elks
It's not.
games. Yeah, I disagree. I'm one of
It's
those.
like-
I could eat any pizza.
It's like
delicious.
hot dog water. That's not good.
I think you're completely off on that one, but that makes me happy because if there's ever Pizza 73, I know that means more for me, less for you.
I'm going to give a shout out to my favorite local place, like 5 blocks from my house, Ragazzi.
Oh, yeah.
Very good on White Avenue.
Yeah,
Great spot.
Yeah, these guys are great. And huge Oiler fans. So if we order pizza there, like, take out, I'll often send my wife in there because if I go in there and she's in the car, she's like, no, don't spend 15 minutes. I say, well, the guys want to talk to me up the Oilers. Like, that's just what I'm going to do.
Exactly.
So I get in there. Mark, what the hell? What's going on? Blah, 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 this, that. Yeah. Get Mark some grappa. We'll get it. And then we're sitting there
come
chatting
back to
with
the
guys.
car
You
buzz.
Just twist it from grappa.
Oh, grappa is just
Delicious.
That is dangerous. Yeah.
It is.
And you know they're
dangerous.
related to Tony's Pizza on the north side?
Tony's
Yes.
Pizza is phenomenal.
They're Tony's nephews.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that one.
Get the Sal's Deluxe at Tony's. Phenomenal.
I
It's
haven't
so
been
good.
there in a long time, but I'm like, man, it's so good.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
When the cook is talking and he only speaks Italian, you know it's good. And you got a little old Nona working, taking your order. That's the best.
I never, you know what? My very first pizza was Boston Pizza because when I was a kid, my parents are Irish. We never had pizza. I didn't have pizza till I was 18.
What?
Really?
Yeah. And the Boston Pizza on 101st Avenue, just off Wayne Gretzky Drive, which was Capilano Drive freeway at the time, that's the first place I went to have pizza.
Wow.
It actually brings me to something like Spitzy. You know Tyrell Spitzer,
Yeah.
right? He told me he never had soup until he was like 21 or 22.
What?
I was like, pardon me?
What?
He's like, yeah, I've never had soup. Now I love it.
It's a very
Like when he was
simple
sick.
Where did you
That's
live?
hilarious.
Like when he was sick, he never was
Never
given
had
chicken
soup.
noodle soup.
Never had soup until he was like 22 years
What's Spitzy's background?
old. He's half Guyanese, half white.
And he never had soup.
Never had soup.
Maybe
You
guy
gotta
user
ask him.
gets
Like, it's the
soup.
craziest thing. I'm Guyanese and I had soup.
It's not like it's expensive or anything. You could buy cannibal
No,
soup
not-
for very
not-
cheap usually.
I know.
No,
Yeah.
you can.
Well, when I was a kid, we had Lipton soup. Do you ever have the Lipton soup where you gotta
In the box?
take the big thick thump of chicken, whatever,
Yeah.
and you add it to and it boils up, and then
Okay.
it's got the short little noodles.
Yeah, I remember those.
Great
was
hangover
against it.
cure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great hangover
You
cure.
sound like you have a few hangover cures.
Oh, I do. I've got lots.
Do they work?
They all work.
Are you sure?
Oh wow.
The fact
Yeah.
that you have a lot says maybe they don't work because you have to use different
I
ones.
played professional hockey for 10 years, different regions, so different spots.
yeah.
It has to work.
Yeah.
Interesting.
When I was playing down in Houston, it would be go to Chipotle, get one of those brick burritos, and then have a Dr. Pepper. Bounce back just like that.
I love that.
What's the Edmonton hangover cure for Belgium?
That noodle soup,
Yeah.
chicken noodle soup.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yep.
Odd.
Just
Maybe
like
that's
that.
why
And a
we
couple
had-
Advils. I'm getting older.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hello. Haji texting in, Press Jewelers inbox, 780-218-9999. Haji says, how many people are in the press box on an average regular season game? I'll let Mark handle that one.
Let me count up. I guess people is the question, right? Because
Yeah,
it's
people.
now the media center, so it's not all media people. Got all the scouts and things. I don't know. There's got to be
Team
100,
staff.
110 maybe.
Yeah.
100. I don't know. It's hard to count every up. Maybe more.
I forgot how many media or like seats they
I think
have.
there's like 200 seats
yeah,
up
there's
there.
There's close
Yeah.
to that, and in
So-
and playoff Stanley Cup Finals and stuff that
It's
fills
packed.
up. It's
Yeah.
full. There's an auxiliary press box that,
Yeah.
that was
Right.
there.
Isn't it like sectioned off and like the uppers like sectioned off in tens?
Yeah, with the different booths.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
so the first
Yeah.
one before that first little section where you have the TV, that's where the opposing team sits. And then there's another section where there's like the some pro scouts can sit there.
Right.
And then you kind of get around that corner. And then that's where the main little area where all the food is.
Yeah.
There's like 10 seats there too, right?
Yeah,
For
and
like-
that's all Oiler staff.
yeah.
Yeah,
And then down below, it's not sectioned off in tens. It's just all wide
Well, it's,
open.
it's numbered. Maybe it's like 150. Like
I think there's more
my
than
seat
150.
is- yeah, mine's like
On
62.
a nightly basis?
No. In terms of the number of seats
Yeah.
that they have,
Capacity.
number that if you look on the seating list,
Yeah.
how many there actually are for it.
But I went to a game this year. I don't have a full-time pass because I'm not covering practice or anything, but the Oilers allowed me to go to games. And I went to a game. It was I think it was a Tuesday night, and I was surprised how few media were there that
Yep.
night. It was like, I don't know, went up to have a little pizza and chat with me, and there was like 4 or 5 people.
Yep.
I was like, where is everybody?
When was the last time you went to an Elks game in the press box?
Yeah.
It's been years because they didn't give me a pass when I was hosting the morning show. So it's probably been 10
Did you know that they
years.
shrunk the media?
I heard that, yeah.
It's tiny.
Yeah.
That one I remember when I first started was completely packed.
Yep.
When I'd go in, cameramen would have to stand in the back because there was no seat for a cameraman. Every
Right.
spot was taken.
Yeah.
And then by the time they were, just a couple of years ago when there was seats for everyone.
Yeah.
It was, who would like to see, like you could sit wherever you wanted because there was no
That
one
was
there. And
one of my first big breaks in sports was doing sidelines for CJCA. Brian Hall doing play-by-play. I did sidelines for one season. That was kind of a great experience.
It's so much fun.
Although Halsey would always steal my thunder because they would say to me, Mark, what's going on? And I call up to the producer and say, oh yeah, so Dunnigan just got hurt. Yeah, it looks like it's his knee. They're going to take him aside the thing. Blah blah blah. Okay, so we're going to come down here. All right. So then Halsey be there. Hey, we're going to get a report from the sidelines from Mark Connolly. Mark, I hear Dunnigan just turned his knee. You're taking this side thing. I'm like, yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Exactly. Good job, Brian.
I kind of clued into that, and I would just try to give them just a little bit, enough that they would come to me, would not
not give him so he could take it all.
scoop me. He was all right. Here's another funny Halsey story if you want to hear it. But
Yes.
Halsey had this expression all the time, and he'd say, "Get everything you need." Right? He'd say that all the time, right? And whatever, that was just one of his go-to. And he's always on, like he's always just going. And I would go to practice almost on a daily basis, at least 3 or 4 times a week. And I would bring back hit tape, and then he would run it on CJCA as well as I would use it on K97.
Mm-hmm.
So he was very appreciative of me doing that for him and giving him, because he didn't want to go practice every day. And they didn't have another sportscaster at the time, it was just him. So I'm giving him lots of stuff, and he talked to this guy and that guy, and blah, blah, he's running it all. So one day I'm sitting in the newsroom at K97, and he's walking out, and he goes, Mark, I'm going to practice. I'm like, oh, okay, good. He says, yeah, I'm going to get the whole story. I talked to a bunch of guys. You want some stuff? I'm like, sure. Yeah, that'd be great. So he comes back like a couple hours later, an hour and a half, and comes walking through the newsroom again. And, Mark, I just got back from practice. I was like, oh, okay, great, Halsey. Who'd you talk to? I talked to everybody. I got the whole story. Got everybody. Got everybody. I said, oh, yeah. He says, do you want some stuff? I'll get you some stuff. And you put it on the air. And I said, yeah, okay. He said, what do you want? Who do you want? Who do you want to talk to? I said, well, Dunnigan. Did you get Dunnigan? He goes, you don't need him. In other words, no, he did not talk to Dunnigan.
You don't need him. Oh, my God. My first ever Eskimos experience was I was working for The Score as like a part-time producer, stringer, reporter, whatever.
Right.
After they had gotten rid of all their reporters across the country, because remember Christy Chorley was their last reporter, Jordy Weidman was there.
Oh, yeah.
So then they're like, oh, we need reporters. So they're like, we need to go to Eskimos practice. Danny Machocha was still the coach. And we go into the visitors' locker room at the time before the latest reno, when they're still in the old room. And there's a big scrum. It was probably like 7 or 8 cameras, all the reporters, all the writers are there. And I'm like just trying to get my spot in there, get the score mic in. And Halsey showed up late and he crawled underneath everybody and he was on one knee holding his Ched mic up and just totally takes over the scrum.
Yep.
Danny, what about this? Danny, what the hell happened on Saturday? And everybody's just like, yep, okay, whatever. And I'm like, wow, this guy is a legend.
Yeah.
Legend. I'm like, this is what it's like. I'm like, I'm in way over my head. And then actually the last end of season press conference for the Elks
This year?
Yeah, Halsey was there, and he just took over with Ed from the back. He didn't get in there, but just started rifling questions into Ed, and it ended up being like a 23-minute press conference with Ed. So most of it with Halsey's questions.
The thing about Halsey was he was always on, but at the same time he wasn't so in your face when in a personal basis. Very nice guy,
Very friendly.
You know, like Don Cherry was the nicest guy one-on-one as well. Just really generous and really helpful. Like I remember I wanted to talk to him when and he knew me a little bit from CBC, like we'd had come across, but he was so generous to me in that when I wanted to talk to him and that kind of thing, and remembered your name, and it was like I really loved Cherry at the time back working with him.
I interviewed him once, and it was when they were doing like the 50th anniversary of Hockey Night in Canada. They were going coast to coast.
Yeah.
And they brought Ron and Don in, and Steve Hogle was my boss at the time. And Hogle like arranged this interview with Don Cherry. He's like, "You're gonna do it for Oilers TV." I was like, "Oh my God, yes, I'm so excited." And and Warren Love.
Yeah.
was
Love Warren, yeah.
was had
The runner.
Yeah, he was a runner, but he'd been doing it for years and years. He did a bunch of Olympics. Well, you know,
Yeah,
I
he
just
really-
went for drinks with him last summer.
he's the best.
We
guy.
went for drinks.
I love
Warren's
Warren
great.
Love. Anyway,
And his
he's
brother, by the way, owns the Sherwood Park Crusaders. Did you know that?
does it? No, I didn't know that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He did.
Or I
He
think
was part
I
of
thought
the-
maybe he's getting out, or
Oh, he might
I
be
don't know if
getting
he's
out
still
now.
there.
Who's
but
that?
Warren
Warren
Love.
Love.
He was
Oh,
Kevin
yeah,
Love.
Kevin Love. Yeah.
Kevin.
Yeah, I think he's out now.
Is he out now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
because I think they have now like this. They have a plot of land in Saskatchewan that they're farming out of.
Yes, they've had that
Yeah.
for years. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But sorry, anyway, back
oh
to
no.
your-
But Warren would be so nice to me. He'd be like, and I had only known him from like a couple of years, but he's like, Tommy, we're gonna get you done. But he's like, it depends on his mood. If he has a good coach's corner, you're good to go. If he has a bad coach's corner, probably not. And so like Hogel's like, oh, I don't know. And then Warren came out of that little studio back by the old visitor room, which became the Oil Kings room.
Yep.
And he goes, you're going to get the interview. I'm like, okay. I was scared. I'm scared. And then sure enough, we go to the media workroom where he's like, okay, he's ready to do the interview. And he was wearing like this, he looked like a checkered flag from a vehicle,
suit.
like a race.
Yeah.
Yeah, his suit was big suspenders. And so Warren takes me in the back there. And I can remember Don's like, I swear to God, Okie, I had my stick like this and I was going to kill the guy because he slashed my buddy. This is 1957. And I'm like, oh my God. And then Warren's like, Don, this is Tom from Oilers TV. He's the one that's going to interview. He's like, hey, nice to meet you. And like Scott, I didn't know Scott at the time. And he kind of was like, oh, who's this little scrub? But I know Okie now. I like him. But
Oh, he's hilarious.
yeah, he's once you get past like that crusty shell,
Yeah.
he's good. And yeah, I had like 4 or 5 minutes with Don, and he was talking about his memories in the building. And he's like, I remember the night Wayne got 50 and 39. I was calling that game. I'm like, and Tim Nancy was your play-by-play guy. He's like, yes, he was. You're good. And I was like, I'm a nerd. Yeah, and he was great. But I just remember, I'm like, this guy is larger than life.
For sure.
And but yeah, you probably have way more experiences than I did with him. But that was my one.
No, that's great. That's a nice story.
I swear to God, Okie, I had my stick like this. I was gonna kill him.
Scott Oak is hilarious. Number
Yeah.
one. One time we were having a meeting. They used to bring us to Toronto for a 3-day pre-Olympic meeting, like it would happen if we were having the Olympics in July, it would happen in May. And you'd meet with your producers and your editors even, and everybody would be on the same page, that sort of thing. And so we're heading to Salt Lake City, and there was big controversy because our per diem was like $75. And everybody's like, $75? At the Olympics? Are you kidding? Everything goes up. The price is crazy, blah, blah, blah. So they have a big meeting with all the commentators and the people who decide all these things to lay out why it's this and that kind of thing. And so Oak is hilarious. He's just beaking off at the back of the room about this and that. This is crazy. Have you ever been to the Olympics? You don't know what you're doing, blah, blah. And the woman who's running it is actually from Winnipeg, so they know each other really well.
Oh, okay.
And she says, well, you know, it's $75, but she says, it's not like you're eating out every day. You can have breakfast at the hotel and this and that. And so, you know, it's not supposed to, you know, you're not expected to pay all this money. You can buy things and they, he goes, yeah, I'm going to bring bacon and eggs from home. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to Winnipeg. And we all just started killing ourselves laughing. Anyway, at the end of the day, I think they boosted to $105. But
There are some guys that could just do that. Rod Black was like that, wasn't he?
Well, yeah, we did a 18 Grey Cup. I was part of the helping out with the radio broadcast with JMO and stuff. So we went for a dinner at Sabor. And
Good spot.
we had to pay for it ourselves because TSN and Bell wasn't going to pay for our stuff. And when it came time to almost everyone divvy up, we were all happy, fine to do it. We were having a good night. Rob Black's like, why are we paying? Like, wait, they're having a TV party right now down the street, and you think Paul Graham's not making sure everyone's covered for that one? Why are we paying? And the one main guy was just like, well, was the agreement, like we can't do this. And Blacky's like, no, just expenses. He's like, I can't. Just say Blackie approved it. Just say Blackie approved it. And so the guy's like, okay, like I'm gonna go do that. He's like, yeah, Blackie approved it. And we didn't pay, and it got submitted and something. And just because the guy was told by Rob Black, Blackie approved it. Okay.
I love it.
That's legendary.
Yeah.
Rob Black's great.
He is. I mean, I
He's
don't
got
know.
a great reputation in the media.
Great
people
dude.
like Rod.
But I don't know, Mark. Like you kind of were there during the heyday of Hockey Night Canada when you got on with CBC. But apparently, like Dave Hodge and John Wells were just like animals. They would be like, I'm not gonna say who, but they would be at the pool of the West End, passed out with like beers and women and stuff like that. Like,
I didn't know any of those stories, to be honest. I knew John Wells from, and you might be familiar with my stories. When I was a teenager, I was a janitor at the CBC.
Oh.
I think you both, have you heard that story?
No, I have
My
not.
father owned a janitor company that cleaned the CBC. So when I was 14 and 15, my job was to pick up garbage at the CBC. So I knew all the guys in the sports office because I was very interested. I'd hang around there, just get to know guys and that thing.
Yeah.
So John Wells, I think, was there when I was a bit older and that kind of thing. But I knew Ernie Afaganis and Alan Watt, and they knew my dad as
the
well.
kid from Bonnie Doon,
Yeah,
as JMO calls him.
Alan Watt?
Yeah.
And so I knew those guys then. And then when I got into business, which was, and I came to CBC when I was 28. So it's a lot of guys still work there. And the other thing, and this is a sad story, but my father passed away when I was 16. He had a heart attack and he died at the CBC.
Oh, no way.
He was there inspecting the building one morning, and he collapsed and died. And so when I came back there were people who worked there who were there that day
Oh, wow.
and told me what happened. And because I asked a couple of them.
Yeah.
And so pretty connection to that building, to the people, and that sort of thing. But all those sportscasters, I saw them come through when I was a kid. And then later I got to work with some of them. Like in 96, when I went to my first Olympics in Atlanta, Ernie Afaganis came out of retirement to do wrestling.
Really?
Now, Ernie had hosted the Olympics, right? He was the top dog. They used to fly him to Toronto to do whatever it was called, Sports Saturday, but I don't think it was called that at the time. But in the 80s, he was the guy. And then they said to him, well, you got to move to Toronto. You got a full-time network. And he's like, no, I don't want to move to Toronto. So they said, okay. And they replaced him with Brian Williams.
That's pretty good.
But Ernie Afaganis was huge and super nice guy and long, deep roots in Edmonton. So when he came to the Olympics and he saw me, and I said, hey, Ernie, went and chat with him. He said, oh, I look at you at the Olympics. Isn't that fantastic? Yeah. So it was kind of exciting to see him there. But those old school guys, they some of them were characters. And what goes on the road stays on the road. So
Yeah.
I can't
Well,
tell you
that's
much more.
it was the 80. It was So I didn't want to give away too much, but like the 85 reunion, century greatest team or whatever in the NHL, and then the 84 reunion, Farewell Rexall Place. Like when those guys were rolling through in that 3-year span, and we would sit down and do interviews for the two documentaries we did for Oilers TV. Then you just like actually talk to them and they would tell these stories. They're like, this hotel has seen so much crap. Those TV guys used to party worse than we did. And that's where I would get these stories. And I'm just like, tell me more. This is amazing. It is not like that anymore. I would love to have lived in that era of being a sports broadcaster. So I always find that very fascinating.
Yeah, guys, there was this sort of, because another part of it was that those guys, the hockey players, wouldn't have been making much more money than the people covering them.
Right.
So there wasn't that separation. Like none of us can relate to somebody making $12 million a year. Yeah. It's not possible.
Yeah.
The lowest paid player makes 20 times what the average media guy makes, right? Like it's like people, oh, he's only making $700,000 a year. I'll never make $700,000 a year in my life. You know what I mean? Like that perception of that is weird that you have that sort of thought. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So
Well, isn't that why like the Eskimos and the Oilers, when they crossed paths, like they were kind of on the same footing?
Yep. Because you would have had, a matter of fact, you would have had football players making more than NHL players.
Wow.
Like some of your top quarterbacks, say at the time, were making, say, $250,000 a year. You had Oilers who were making, the top players were making $100,000 a year.
Wow.
There was a time, it was a real small crossover because the NHL took off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember some of those stories from that because like Glenn Anderson would come out do some of the skates and he'd kind of share some of how much money they actually made, and I was like, oh, that's not.
No.
Well, when did free
most
agency
people
become a
think.
thing? Was it the 80s?
Yeah, I mean, it happened in the 80s, but it was like
it wasn't
very
that, like-
restricted.
Well, the
Right,
too, right?
but that's the thing. Like before then, like if before free agency, you're kind of under control then. So there's not a lot of power that
Wasn't
the players
Fedorov
would
one of the first really, really big contracts that hit? Because his was
sounds about
his
right.
was an offer sheet, was it not?
You know what?
I do
you know
remember
what
the offer sheet of him. Was
the
it Colorado?
biggest thing.
Who gave the offer?
The biggest thing was transparency. Who was the union rep? Was he the guy who came from baseball or football, and he wanted to make all the contracts public, and the players were all against it. A lot of them, no, they don't want people to know how much they're making, or they thought there would be resentment in the locker room because this guy's making 150,000, this guy's making 120. That's what you're talking about. Those differences now. But as soon as everybody knew how much everybody was making, it just exploded. Like people are like, that guy on this other team is making 400,000 a year. My player's making 200, and he's got twice the stats. So you got to pay him. That is the big effect. That was the inflationary thing that happened in the NHL. It happened in other sports as well. But that transparency is key to that sort of happening.
Yeah.
That was a big part of it.
So you're going to be talking to Glenn Anderson about those days on the segments of the
I
podcast.
hope so. Yeah, I'd love to get Glenn Anderson. Who would you guys like to hear from an alumni point of view? Who would be an interesting?
You know what'd be great? Like the mid '90s guys that were in that weird before the
Todd
team.
Marchand.
Yeah,
Those errors, I
agree.
feel like we've heard
Scott
enough
Thornton.
from the 80s.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
That
yeah.
there's a lot of the 90s and the early 2000s that have just kind
Cujo.
of been missed. The
Yeah.
Cujo.
You don't hear much from Cujo.
He's kind of a
Anson
reckless.
Carter,
Ace.
I
You know
love
him, right?
Ace.
Yeah.
He's a good
I
chat.
met him once. Only once.
I'll tell you
We
one
were
thing: if
best
you got a
friends.
guy like
Yeah.
Igor Ulanov
Yeah.
on,
Was he inspirational to you as a black man playing in the NHL?
No.
No.
I mean, like, because me and Jerome were friends.
Yeah.
So, like, having guys like that, those were some of the guys that I looked up to. But I mean, at the end of the day, I was just like, I'm just a hockey player. That's
Yeah.
kind of how I viewed it. But yeah, like I've only met Anson Carter once, and it was at the Rexall farewell.
Oh.
Oh,
But we were best friends.
I
Kelsey,
talk-
let's go. Let's get in the rip. We're going to Cactus. Sounds good, buddy.
sounds
Let's go.
He's very friendly. Like he was at an Oilers practice at Chelsea Piers in Manhattan, and him and I talked for like an hour. And I'm like,
he was one of the go-to interviews when he was a player.
yeah.
Like, you have guys who are, they're just well-spoken, interesting. They have something to say. They don't mind talking to the media.
Yeah.
And those guys become kind of the go-to player in the locker room because it's easy to talk to these
Yeah,
guys.
exactly.
Right?
You
And
get
wanna-
something.
Yeah, you get something from
Mark, if you could dig up like Mariusz Cherkovsky, guys like Andrei Kovalenko, wherever the hell he
What
is
about
right now.
Yakupov?
Yeah, if you could get Yak in, that would be good.
You're going to have to fly to Russia to get him.
Well, Cherkovsky, he was at he was in Helsinki for the World Championships in 2012, and my mom loved him.
Yeah?
My mom's a Polish lady, so obviously he was a big deal.
Yeah.
And my mom loved his ex-wife, who was the Bond girl from GoldenEye.
Oh, wow.
And so
I forgot that.
I remember telling him, I like emailed my mom, like, you won't believe who's here. Mariusz Cherkovsky. He's doing the Polish broadcast of the World Championship. She's like, go talk to him. Go talk to him. I talked to him, like, great conversation the first day. And then I ran into him like the second day, the third day. I'm like, all right, I'm running out of things to say with Cherkovsky. Then he started coming and finding me. And I'm like, I'm like,
My
hey,
Edmonton friend.
yeah, I'm like, hey, man. I felt bad. Like, I'm like, I don't know what to tell you anymore. Like, but anyway, that's just dorky 90s.
I mean, when people talk about what's it like to be a sportscaster, it's a great life. Like
Yeah.
it's fun, it's exciting, it's interesting. I mean, I can't speak so much to now because in 2010 I became a news anchor for 3 years, and then I went on the radio, and so I continued to do the Olympics. I continued to go to some Oiler events and that kind of thing. So I didn't cover sports full time. So being a sportscaster from say 1980 to 2010 was my experience. And it was a great life. It was really interesting. I loved that job, and it has changed now a lot. And you guys you're in that era, so I can't speak to it as much. But it seems like it's still a fun job.
It's super fun. I wanted to be a sports anchor, and I got to do it at CTV briefly.
Yeah,
And I always loved CTV Sports, and it's now I'd never want to sit at a desk and read highlights. I want to be at the game. I want to do what I get to do.
Well, a lot
now.
of time when I was in the heyday of when TSN and Sportsnet were coming up, and mostly TSN at the time. And a lot of people said to me, "Are you going to apply to TSN? Do you want to move to Toronto?" And everything. I said, "I got to tell you, anchoring sports is the worst job.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to be a sports anchor. I didn't like that as much. Like I was out reporting, and I would go report. I would edit my own pieces, and then I would present them on the desk.
Yep.
So I wasn't doing just one thing, and that was, luckily for me, I enjoyed that per se. Going to TSN, I mean, I'm sure the money would have been a lot better, but first of all, nobody ever offered me that job. I just put it there. Nobody ever, but I never applied for it either, so
Right.
I wasn't like putting myself out there.
Yeah, you're at a desk. I remember, really quickly, Matt, I'll tell a story. I was my first few weeks at CTV, weekends, late nights, and I was doing a Saturday broadcast. I remember my time was 11:48, and I had 6 to 7 minutes depending on the news that day. And I remember doing it, feeling good about the show, and then driving home. It's 12:15. All my friends are at the bar drinking, and I just realized I'm nobody watched that. Nobody cares.
You know how much time I had on Sunday night sports at CBC when I started in the weekend? 35 minutes.
Wow.
That was before TSN.
Right.
Yeah.
So we did everything. And we syndicated all the sports across Canada for other CBC stations. So that's why John Sesmith, Bryn Griffiths, Dennis Glasgow, they all worked with me at CBC. They were doing highlights all day, and then I would come in the afternoon and I would voice them and then send them off around the country. And then because we had all this material from everything, NFL, CFL, baseball, whatever is going on, we had all this material. So we ran it 35 minutes.
Wow. Well, and then you'd be in all these other markets, right?
Yes.
That's important too. That's good, exposure.
I know. And people would say to me, "Hey, I heard you in Toronto." I'd be like, "What? Oh yeah, I guess so. I'm voicing this thing and they're running it."
Yeah.
It's strange.
How things have just completely evolved. We only got just a couple more minutes, but thank you for coming in. This has been great.
Appreciate it. Yeah,
Belzy,
thanks for having me in.
You're hanging out. You're doing well. You're almost through it. I know you're battling your cough and whatever, but
Every now and then I
almost
get this little tickle, and I'm just I start battling for my life.
Well, that's what you're used to as a defenseman going in the corners.
Just got to fight for my life. Yeah.
Exactly.
hosting, toasting, roasting. If
right.
somebody does want to get in touch with you for an event,
MarkConnolly.ca.
there you go.
Excellent.
Yeah.
That's what we want to throw out there. MarkConnolly.ca.
A couple of texts have come in that Mark should be nominated for an SD for Guest of the Year and Show of the Year.
And go to the year.
We do our ridiculous ESPYs knockoff every
Right.
September. The
Well,
ESPYs.
I saw a photo of all you guys dressed up in suits and everything. I was like, whoa, pretty nice. That's from one of the Estes.
Yep, that was the first one.
Sweet.
And so we keep a running list, an Excel worksheet of best notable
guests.
notable guests, notable categories.
nominees.
Thank you, nominees.
Thank you.
Noteworthy. Thank
Well, it
you.
would be an
Use
honor
your
to be
words,
nominated.
Tom. Yeah, thank you for backing me up there.
And it goes to our votes with the Nasty Club members. They get a vote on it.
Just make sure you get it in the spreadsheet, Tom.
I don't know how to use Excel.
It's not an Excel
I'm kidding.
spreadsheet. Well, it's not even Excel. It's a Word document.
It's a Word
There's that little
doc.
poke to get Maddie going.
Hey.
And
Everyone's gotta do their part.
congratulations, you guys on this. I mean, I know it's been a few years now, but it couldn't be happier that Edmonton Sports Talk doing so well. Like, it's got to be a place where people can come and talk about their local teams, and I think this is just great.
It's fun.
Success you've had.
Appreciate
Fantastic.
that. Thank you very much. Lock Shop coming up in just a few minutes. Myself and Huss. He's at Grey Cup Central out in Winnipeg. We've got Oil Stream today. We got EST Afternoons. We got the Reed Wilkins Show with Jay Milne. We also got the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pre and post game shows. 4:30, if I'm not mistaken. It's a 5:30 game.
Yeah, it's
5:30. Tommy will be at the BP's Clareview. Location tonight for the GCL Diesel pre and post game shows. So tune in across the Edmonton Sports Talk platform, whether EdmontonSportsTalk.com, tune in, iRadio, YouTube. Tommy and Benny will get you set for that game. Who's on with you?
I think Cass is back tonight.
Cass is back, yep.
Yeah, Cass is back.
I call you know. On behalf of Mark Connolly, Shawn Belle, Tom Gazzola, I'm Iwanyk. Thanks for tuning in to the EST Hangout presented by Sentinel Storage right here at Edmonton Sports Talk. Your clear choice for Edmonton Sports presented by Play Alberta. Lock Shop coming up in just a few minutes. Don't go anywhere.
Let's go. There you go, right in front of the camera.
First-time guest, long-time listener, fan of the original draft commissioner.
Welcome to the EST Hangout presented by White Claw Hard Seltzer. The difference is clear. Matt Iwanyk, Tom Gazzola with here. Joining us today,